Tell you something. I read a bio, and Busta Rhymes said, "Violator is like a family.
Right.
Each and every day I wake up, I thank Mona Scott for being in my corner."
See that?
So it is a family, and you are doing
It's definite,
the right thing.
and you gotta love it like a family and treat it like a family in the same way that you get into, shit with your sister or your man or your woman. You don't just get up and say I'm out. You go through it, you tussle it out, but at the end of the day, you're in it for good or for bad, for better or for worse, and you're gonna weather the storm. And it's about that trust level, and it's about that connection to know that there are all these great good times. But there's going to be time when shit is fucked up. Are we in this together or what?
There you go.
That's what gets you through it.
What are some of the mistakes that someone makes when selecting a manager?
I just have a personal feeling about family. I just don't think, I think there are very few instances where that's in your best interest, because part of it is being objective. And a lot of times, artists are emotional, and that's it, and they should be. It's their lives, and you need that person who's kind of in charge of the business end of your life, being unemotional. And it's hard for family to make that separation. It's hard for you to, go at it all day and then go home at night and be like, "Hey, mom," or this crawling to bed with your girl.
Right.
So I just don't think that works really well. I think that it's not always a negative thing to have your friend, but I think you have an obligation, and so does that person, to make sure that they know what the hell they're doing. People think that it's all good and all I gotta, be is in the mix, and I gotta have my cell phone and my two-way, and those are the only tools that I need. And I think they do themselves a disservice, because once your credibility is damaged, and once people don't think that your business is handled right, it damages the overall perception of you.
Nobody wants to deal with
Nobody wants to deal with you. And it limits your potential to people, because they think, well, shit, if you think that this is acceptable, you know what I'm saying? Then you've got limited aspirations. So I don't know that I want to get in business with you.
A lot of artists like to deal with a manager who has 1 to 3 acts. Now, you guys have how many acts?
Probably about 12 active acts.
12
right now.
acts. How do you give each artist the proper attention?
Right. Well, the important thing is it's about infrastructure. It's about making sure that you have a system set up that's going to be there as a safety to service their every need. And uniquely, we're kind of departmentalized in a way that we have someone in place in almost every phase of that artist's career, almost every area. There's somebody who handles strictly billings and receivables and making sure that, your songs are registered and your splits are done. There's somebody who moves them around to strictly travel. The cars are there on time, you know what I'm saying? Entourage, all of that stuff is set straight. And then there's a day-to-day junior manager, somebody who's actually out on the road when there's a need to. And we're also very involved in the staff that they surround themselves with, because they function as an extension of us. So it's not necessary for me or even Chris, with the acts that he takes a lead on, or Todd, to physically be out on every single thing with each of our acts. We mainly, if it's something that we've set up from scratch, or if it's, something major, we'll pop in, but we've got the full staff to really service all of the day-to-day needs. And that's an important thing. It goes back again to people thinking, as long as I got my phone and my two-way, I could do this. But you can't be everywhere at once. And the worst thing is when calls aren't being returned, and the small details aren't being handled, because that's the shit that starts to chip away at the overall. When that foundation is shaky, the whole shit comes crumbling
So
down.
basically, you have to have people that you can delegate responsibility.
Totally. It's all about delegation, but it's all about having the right people and the responsible people in place.
What does a good manager provide for its artists?
A good manager provides a total sense of security. That artist should be able to think about nothing else but honing their craft and delivering their craft. They shouldn't have to worry about whether their shit is being handled properly, whether they're being represented properly, whether their money's right, whether their the decisions being made on their behalf is in line with the way they want to be perceived or represented. A good manager should provide total security, where that person should be able to say without a shadow of a doubt, I know my manager got me.
What do you look for in an artist that you're going to manage?
For the most part, talent. Talent that is special and unique in its own way. Another big part of it is drive and ethic. you know, because I have a certain, you know, work ethic that I live by and that I demand from my staff and that I demand from the clients that I represent. There's never going to be a case where I'm going to work harder for you than you. Right. You know, you tell me how hard we're going to go at this, because I'm taking my lead from you. Okay. So I definitely demand, you know, just a certain level of commitment to themselves. You know, you're not doing this for me, and I'm not going to pull you kicking and screaming all the way to the top.
Right.
This is your life, this is your business. You know, when you look over to the side, I'm right there next to you. But if you don't want this, I can't want this more than you do.
Right now, you have a big thing where you're fusing corporate America and hip hop and making a good partnership out of it. Tell us a little bit about that.
I think that came mainly from, you know, hip hop's acceptance into the mainstream, and it becoming, you know, again, the popular culture and the way of speaking to those kids out there, because they're all looking to the urban kids to determine what's hot and what's not. And, you know, with the advent of that, you have all of these corporate brands trying to capitalize and tap into, you know, their ability to influence these kids. I think what you always want to be mindful of and be careful of is making sure that in that process you don't dilute, you know, your artists and dilute what they represent in music, because that's their core business. And you know, a lot of times you get offers for products and stuff that absolutely make no sense, where the check is big. And I think that that's probably where a lot of people make their mistake. But you know, these brands are out there. They definitely want to be in business with urban artists, even more so now than sports figures. Wow. Because, you know, music artists are more influential now. Right. So the opportunities are boundless.
That's a wrap. Mona, thank you for coming through.
No, thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. Fat Man Scoop, Mona Scott, inside